Hello, folks. How are you? Evening from Camillo, of course. And let me just grab my mouse over this side. And thank you, Paul. We shall commence. Yes, I haven't managed the haircut yet, but I did manage. I can't reach them, but the clippers are out. So, yeah, God help us. What I'll look like tomorrow could be anyone's business. I hope your Friday has been pretty cool, folks. I have had a learning day today, and I've learned on behalf of all of us because I know you guys can't come out and learn in the same way I can. The learning is based around something we spoke around last night, and that was the fact that silver can be grown. Now, I got a little bit excited about this. I got quite excited. I got quite thrilled. And a lot of people did. A lot of people have contacted me about this. And in the chat last night, I noticed there was a lot of people explaining how the process works and all that. I unfortunately didn't get to read a great deal of that during the chat, being the nature of it is. And hello to everybody in there. Aussie Sue, of course, I think was first in the room again tonight. Oh no, Paul beat her by a 15th, so to speak. G'day, Paul. And you're coming into town tomorrow. Might be a chance to catch up with you. I caught up with Rolly today. Had a good chat with him, and caught up with a few people today, in fact. So hello to Robert, to James, to Donna, and Michelle, who I also caught up with today. We had a lovely, late lunch, I guess is the best way of describing that, and a very interesting conversation, which I'll tell you more about in the near future. Hello, Sunflower. Lovely to see you in the room again, of course, and of course, one of the room's highlighted posters. We love you. And that seems to be pretty much general all the way through the entire community in here. I'm not sure if Sandy is in the room yet, but I hope she is. And if not, I'll keep an eye out for her popping in too. Sandy and Baz, lovely, wonderful, wonderful people. And they happen to possess one of 3 donkeys. So might have found a home for some donkeys just between you and the gatepost. That's another little story. So that'll come up in the not too distant future. I aim to, if it comes off, we will see what happens. Keefe, we won't see what happens. I will try and bring the whole story of the donkey's journey from where they are to where they're going here to the Voice of Freedom. I think it'll be a bit of fun. Keefe, how are you, mate? I would put you up on there, but Kate's first. And you have a name that really, if the kids are watching, is going to be difficult for me to get past. So sorry about that, Keefe. Dan, welcome to the game, Dan. Yep, when injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. Dan, lovely to have you and a couple of the other camera guys floating around, I think, in here tonight too. I've been trying to get a hold of Dan Vincent. I did leave a message a little while ago now. I suppose I've rung him this week. But if any of you guys get in contact with him, tell him to give me a bell, will you? Because I'm keen to have a bit of a chat. Just a private chat, not a one running around online. So everybody, congratulations for passing another week. And what an interesting week it has been in many different ways. We've learnt many different new things. And one of those things that we learned about, you probably saw in the little graphic at the front of the show, was silver. We learned about growing silver. Well, I got to meet a gentleman today who did just that. And if you can see, that is Voice of Freedom, or VoF, grown in silver crystals. Just spectacular. I don't know if I can get it too close. There you go. Now, I'm blown away by it. Absolutely blown away. He gave me a couple of other bits which Laura has taken away and put on her mantle, pride of place. And then he showed me sort of how it really comes. So this is the crystalline form, if you like, of the silver, and there's 30 grams there, so a bit under a troy ounce. I was getting more and more excited. How easy will this be to grow at home? I asked rather naively. I'm going to try and pick out a couple of these grains just to show you. Can you see that in my hand? So maybe not. I'm going to break a hand trying to show you. That's the high part. So you can see that they come out in a sort of crystal kind of form. little rocks, if we like, little chunks. Quite an interesting thing to hold in your hand. These sort of, I'll try and just grab one out. There you go, got more than one. All right. They are minute, but little, almost, if you like gold pieces, gold nuggets, but bigger, lighter, but absolutely 100% silver. Now, not pure silver, not the kind of silver you'll go to Ainsley Bullion and get, or any other bullion dealer, but this is a starting process. And if you were a refiner, you can take this to a refiner, or you can refine it yourself if you know what you're doing, and add the appropriate other bits and pieces to turn this into 99.99% pure silver. There is a process, there is a cost. This, we call it an ounce of silver, is not worth the same amount of money as a fully refined ounce of silver. This, if you like, is one of the products required to make a fully refined bit of silver, but just one of the products involved. How do you make it? A lot of people talk about, and I had a bit of a chat with Darren Bergwerf yesterday afternoon, because I was pretty excited about this whole idea of being able to go and grow silver. I thought, between us, we might be able to get my place grow houses happening all over the country. So I thought I'd better have him on tonight and ask whether or not this is going to be a goer, although I have found a couple of limiting factors to our potential business enterprise. Darren, good evening. Welcome to the show. Lovely to have you with us. Wow. I don't know. Maybe he's frozen.
No, you keep freezing for me.
Oh, really?
You there, mate?
It looked like you were reading your phone there for a bit. That'll teach me for talking so much, mate. Oh, we seem to be having some interesting connection problems tonight. So hang on, let me see what I can do here. At the moment, we are running on Starlink, I want to say, from memory. So I'm surprised that we're having some sort of connection problem. But let me just see whether or not I can... I might drop out here for a bit, folks. I don't know if you're seeing me or not. I might just drop out here for a second while I reconnect, or try and get this system to connect to my Telstra setup, and we'll see what happens. I'll be back in just a bit. Or maybe I won't. Going well so far. Now I better show the password. Okay. Marvels of modern technology, hey folks. All right. That's me back. Well, fingers crossed that's me back. I'm not quite sure whether or not Darren's going to try and I'm sure he will try and rejoin us. That won't be a problem. And between the two of us, we'll eventually try and splutter out something of sensibleness tonight. At least that's the plan anyway. Here he is, back, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for joining us. It seems you reverted to older technology. You're off the laptop for the first time, and oh shit, now you've gone black on the phone. It's all going well. I'll remove him from that for the time being while we try and figure out what that is going on. Now, there are a couple of interesting things that I have had turn up in my email today. And once everything sort of wakes up here and gives me things I can download and show you, I will share them with you. Let me go back to the silver. So this stuff is actually quite... Oh, God, now I've got something else going wrong. Shut the program, give it up, go away. All right. Mr. Mayor, oh no, I'll wait until you stop rocking around and get yourself settled. I'll bring him back in. So silver. So you take this and you put it in a smelter or a furnace, and you'll come out with a silver button like that, and that's about an ounce. So this turns into that, and then you can take that. Probably a lot easier to take a button or a biscuit, as sometimes bigger ones are called, I believe, and you can take that to a refiner. They can then test that and tell you the purity of it. But how does it actually work? It works by you getting a lot of scrap silver together. It requires, you need silver to make silver. So if you happen to have a lot of silver lying around, a lot of scrap silver lying around, then there is a process, and you can wind up with some of this, and eventually you some of that, which could ultimately, potentially give you a fair chunk of this. Well, real this, not fake this. So, interesting stuff. So we're back, Darren. I don't know, still on the phone? Oh, no, your audio's gone a bit quiet. Maybe unmute your microphone on the phone. No, we got beautiful pictures, but no sound from you, buddy. Technology. It is a truly magnificent thing. No, can't be my end. I can not mute or unmute you. So it says nothing at my end. I don't think people want me to talk to you tonight, which is a pity, because there's a fair bit to talk about going on in my place and around the country at the moment. And Darren is pretty heavily involved. Have you got a microphone setting you can check there on your end at all? Oh, or you could do that. That'd probably fix it too. So back to talking a few more things about silver. One of the other things I got given today was a certification of authenticity for this, which is a silver Trump coin. It's a Liberty coin. It's got the eagle on the back. It's in a nice little plastic thing, so they don't encourage you to take it out. And the certificate of authenticity says, examined and certified. This item has been examined by Americans who want a better America. It is a tribute to the 43rd President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. Although not legal tender, it is a symbol of honor that we believe that President Trump will make the country great again. Certification number, yada, 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 signed by John Q. Public. That would, if you're wondering, it's not real. The certification is, the group is, and everything they're doing with this is. But if you were thinking you were getting a silver coin with this, you're not. So something to be aware of for those certificate, or you get a certificate of authenticity. It's been certified by somebody. Well, the somebodies that this has been certified from is examined, not certified, but examined by Americans who want a better America. So that could basically mean anybody on the side of the street. The other hint is in the wording. It is a tribute to, and there is no measure of gold, measure of silver, or certification that it is 1 ounce of absolutely anything. And if you happen to have a plastic enclosed real 1 ounce coin in your hand, you would notice a significant difference in the weight. So that's something to watch out for, folks. If you are buying those, you can buy them online. They are very beautiful coins. They look for all the money. But if you take them into a bullion dealer, they'll probably tell you that, unfortunately, you've been given a zinky or something similar. So that's one to watch out for. Mr. Mayor is back. We'll give him another crack. How are you, brother?
Yeah, good. Great. Sorry. Good, Carl. How are you?
Oh, you call me whatever you like. It's all right. I'm happy I can hear
we're
you.
on air, so I better not.
So you and I have been talking. A whole variety of things have been cropping up. I was going to, lay the whole silver thing on you, but it looks like it might be a bust. We were talking yesterday. Maybe we can start, getting my places around the country growing silver. But unfortunately, you need silver to make silver, and there's no point in taking already refined silver in to make that silver. You're just, taking money out of one hand and putting it in the other. So I guess scrap silver is the way to go. Keep an eye out for scrap silver.
Yeah, well, it's a new one on me, mate, growing silver. We're talking to a lot of people that are growing hemp, but I never knew you could grow silver.
Yeah, no, it was absolute news to me. I thought it was just something that came out of a rock and mineralized out of a rock, but because I'll be honest, the only thing I knew about silver outside of what I've learned about coins and bars came from Mad Max and the knowledge of that it was shot at Singleton. Sorry, not Singleton, Silverton, which was an old mining town just out of Broken Hill, which was a silver town. And there's a lot of mines there that pull silver ore out of the ground. So there is some obviously kind of process that happens to get it in the ore, but then it gets crushed out. I guess it winds up something like this, and then the refining process continues on from there until you get some purity out of it. But the get rich every my place scheme that I was kind of hatching yesterday seems to have fallen flat on its face. So I'm sorry, we won't need a committee for that just yet.
Never mind. Keep searching.
I'm going to try. So speaking of committees, the Gold Coast has gone off. They have got, I don't know exactly how many, but a heap of committees running down there. They're working hard on getting rid of that absolute horror of a thing that is outside of the art centre down there. I don't want to go in. I've got a picture of it here, but I don't really want to show it. People might still be eating dinner, but it truly is a homage to Satan and everything that is evil. And yet it is adorning the home of the arts in the Gold Coast. Absolutely awful. So they've got a crew that are on that, really doing some great stuff, but they're involved in, well, so many different areas, food security, transport, all sorts of different bits. You've got to be really proud, Darren, that not just the Gold Coast, but every my place around the country is working pretty much off a blueprint that was started in Frankston with you and your team.
Yeah, look, it's an amazing time, and we're kind of growing. We're up to about 140 now. So yeah, it is fantastic, and the food. The community action groups were really the strongest groups that we had in health and wellness, but the food security, everyone seems to be just jumping onto that and running with it, going out supporting their local producers and local farmers. We've got a farmer's email address now, so we do a fortnightly Zoom trying to connect with the farmers so they can support each other, and we can find out ways where whether they need help in whatever way they need help, but to connect them, because farming's it's a very isolated kind of existence. They work 7 days a week, and they just kind of live and the land and work the land, and they're not really that connected. So when they're struggling, they're isolated. So that's part of the connection, and also to help us understand their plight, see how we can help, and see if they can bring their expertise to us to help us understand how to set up this food cooperative and get more produce directly from the farmer to the consumer.
So I know that you've been in talks with everyone from beef and pork and sheep in Victoria, and certainly I've got others that I think I've put through to you from Queensland already, interested in doing the same thing. Transportation is something that needs to be worked on as well. There are some government impediments that are being put in place. So are you finding any struggles with farmers who might be resistant to the whole idea because the government are just making life too hard? Or is what you're doing with the meeting with the farmers, is that going from those meetings back out into those farming networks? And if so, are they contacting you? What's the response? Is this growing?
It's slow at the moment, but that's okay. Everything takes time to build, and there's a lot of angst, with being protected. People are still scared. I mean, even the people just in our everyday community are still scared about being labelled and kind of going back under a rock. So yeah, we've got a lot of damaged people out there that we've got to try and keep bringing that strength to them and helping them stand in their strength and understand who they are. And the farmers they're no different. Now, obviously, you've got your big farmers that have contracts that we're not even looking at the big farms. They're they're in the matrix to a point where we can't we haven't got the consumer base to even approach big farmers. But it's certainly all the smaller farmers, which is what we're all about anyway. It's micro and small businesses that we need to make sure that we keep alive, and we've got to support them in the short term. So, but they've been the response has been really, really encouraging. They're all super keen to get on board. They're bringing in other smaller farmers that they know in their area. So yeah, it's growing quite well, and the smaller farmers, the response is awesome.
Last time you were on, we were talking about the bullshit piece that the ABC put out on you. All it seemed to do was drive people to my place, and not in an angry way, in a very, very good way. Since then, others have tried and have had exactly the same result. More my places opening up in more parts of Australia. This movement is not. We don't want to portray this as something to be feared, do we? Which is what the mainstream media are essentially trying to do, and what some of these other mobs think they can get away with, portraying the My Place movement as. But it is exactly the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it borders on slanderous, but it is not border on. It is a lot of it's been slanderous. It's been misinformation, fake news, as you'd put it, which we know that's what the media do. That's all they've got is to basically name, call, and label people. And for a long time, people have been scared of that for some reason. I don't know why. People are so worried about what people think about them. If you know that you're genuine and you're doing the right thing, there is no issue. But we've got to try and get people stronger in that kind of aspect. But yeah, the harder the more they do, and it's not just the media, it's the councils as well. And people starting to see now with the information and the awareness that we've all been catching up to speed with and spreading across the country. They're starting to see the fact that our democracy is basically non-existent, and the council's shutting us out of council meetings and crying to the local government minister as to how to handle it. They don't know what to do. It's bloody hilarious, really. And they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't, because the people are just simply fed up with the bureaucracies in this country, and they're not going to bow down any longer and accept the bullshit that they keep throwing at us. So, and all they're doing by closing council meetings and trying to squash our voice is just proving our point that democracy in this country is dead.
Yeah. We were talking today, my hope had always been that My Place would engender from within people that will uplift the community, will lead the community, and will be shown to be leaders, not because they want to stand up and do it, but because of natural ability and desire to, look after others instead of themselves first. I always thought that those people would naturally gravitate to local council, and when local council election time comes around, after the impression that the My Place groups make around the country currently in councils, when they're allowed in the door, the local councillors could, should, and would be voted out in any fair-minded way of thinking if they're not doing their local constituents' bidding, you would think. So next time around, I would hope that there'd be a lot of My Place people who would put their hand up to go into local council and start representing on that level. But you have your reservations that could be successful.
Yeah, I don't. Look, people, if they believe that they can still do that, that's where they're at. I'm certainly not. I don't. We've got 12 months, I think, before the next council election. We've got 4 years before we have another state election. We're not waiting that long. And from what I've heard, you have to actually do a training course to be able to run to be elected to be a local councillor, and you've got to do that training course 12 months before a council election. So obviously they put so many speed bumps in the road to make it really hard for people, and most people just couldn't be bothered with it. So I don't know that. In my opinion, it's not an answer. They will do whatever they do, and now they know that we've got a lot of leverage and a lot of we're gaining a lot of ground at the local level. They will do whatever they have to do, no doubt, to stop that from happening. So I think we've just got to keep building the awareness in the community to a point that, at the moment, the latest that and I've got to do my own research, but I've been told, and this could be an angle that we all should be looking at, is looking at the, in Victoria at least, and I'm sure it's the same interstate, the 1975 Victorian Constitution. And clearly in the Constitution, once again, secondhand, I haven't read it myself, the council has to be elected. So there's got to be a council election, not councillors, but council. So yep. I don't believe we've ever had a council election. We've had elections for councillors, but what about the rest of the council? So that's something that we need a heap of people to start to do their own research and look into to see whether that's another point that is part of the whole thing to expose the fact that they're unlawful.
That is a really interesting position. As we've come to learn with so much in our judicial system, words mean things, and what you're saying there is exactly how they would hide something from us. So interesting. Yes, a bit of research on that point I think would go a long way. I know a couple of people who might be interested in sticking their hand up to look into that a little bit deeper. So, yeah, certainly one to push. The other thing, I suppose, at the moment that I know you've been heavily involved with, along with David Cole, who I've been trying to contact and haven't been able to get a hold of, so I don't know if he's out in country or whatever at the moment, but is The Voice and what you guys are putting together. Well, behind the scenes, you're not really putting anything together. What you are doing is holding conversations, and that's where all of this needs to start. So can you give me an idea of where you and the people who you're working with are at when it comes to uniting Australia around a voice vote that will be beneficial for all of us?
That's look, once again, even in the movement that we're involved with and the awakening that's going on, not everybody is over every kind of issue, and there's still people that have been part of what we've been doing for the last couple of years that still don't understand that that the voice is bad for the country. It's bad for all people, Indigenous, European, whoever we are. It's no good. Full stop. And the minute, we post stuff all the time, and then you get the odd person saying that you're racist and all the rest of it. And I just put back and say, look, if you there are good and bad in every kind of religion, every race, every community, and there's ones that are part of the system that will say that kind of stuff to try and get you away from the truth. And do some research, because all of the elders that I'm not personally in contact with, but that I know that Craig Oldroyd and also Loompa as well, David, they're out in the outback. They're going around to Indigenous communities and asking them, have they been informed about this? Do they know anything about it? So it's all smoke and mirrors by the government. To say that they're being consulted, but they're only consulting the people that they've already got in their back pocket, and that's just a fact. So all the people that actually know the depths of what the voice means are against it. It is detrimental to this country. It's detrimental to every person in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no way a yes vote should ever be able to get up in this country, and I'm amazed that anybody who is a current Labor voter would agree with what the illustrious Elbow is trying to do at the moment, because it took a long time to get racism taken out of Australia's politics, and now it's going to be injected right back into the middle of it, and it's going to be done by a pretty surprising source. All power to you, mate. And we're trying to get together. It didn't help that I shot off to a gold mine for a week, but I'm trying to get David and a couple of his people together, along with you and a couple of your people, and we'll get this conversation happening now. Fingers crossed. We can do that in the next week or so, but I don't know anybody's schedule, and I've been a bit off, so we'll try and figure that out over the course of the weekend and early next week. And if you happen to hear from David, please let him know. We're trying to sort that out. There are also still a lot of people wanting to go on his tour through the NT. Now, I would, if you want to send me an email, I'll pass that all along. Details are available at the website, which I can't remember the name of right at this moment.
Langorama, the Langorama journey.
Oh, is it langorama.org or .com?
Oh, I'm not sure about the website.
Yeah, I think langorama.com, I think it is. But yeah, Langorama is on in June. And if there are enough people for Voice of Freedom who want to do it, he's going to run one for us in July. So maybe, Darren, I know you're a busy man, and getting out of Victoria in the middle of winter is something you would be absolutely loath to do, because you enjoy that time of the year. There's so much work available. Maybe we can get you on that as well. And if we all go along, it could make for some really interesting evening chats.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't. July might be a little bit early for me. Maybe August. Certainly September. I'm heading up to, which is pretty much penciled in, late September, to the Gold Coast, and then also up to Mount Tamborine. I think there's a Summer of Love music festival up there on the weekend of the 29th, 30th, and 1st of October.
It's one of those hippie clothes optional festivals, don't you?
Oh, is it? Okay, sweet.
No, it's not. It's not. I'm not defaming them in that way. In fact, Michelle Palmer from my place, Katoomba, sang at the same show down in Sydney a few months ago. She performed with one of the bands that was on there. So, yeah, Michelle will be able to tell you all about it. But yeah, Mount Tamborine will be a beautiful venue for that. And then, of course, we might have the opportunity to go and cruise back through a few of my places around southeast Queensland and down into New South Wales as well.
Yeah, that's the plan at this stage. So that's about 5 months away. So, or 4 months away now. Yeah, and that's probably the earliest I'm going to be able to get away. I've got a lot of stuff that I've got to catch up on in Melbourne with various projects that I've been kind of leaving and not had time to do. So it's important. I've got to finalise them and get that done for my personal life before I go travelling anywhere.
Yep. I hear you. I understand completely. You were invited to attend an event in Rockhampton that John Wilson and I are going up to on the 20th. Unfortunately, you've already committed to your own event that's happening down in Frankston. So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, look, that was it's the We Are Ready worldwide thing that there's a girl or a lady down in Rosebud in the Morning Peninsula that couldn't find any information on one of these being advertised for Melbourne. And all you had to do was post off an email and ask which suburb or town you wanted to have one of these events in. So she did that. She got a flyer made up for it. Yeah, we got a We Are Ready. It's not really a protest or a rally. It's just a gathering of people. I'm trying to get the girls that do the Forest of the Fallen to also coordinate and do that down on the Frankston foreshore on Saturday the 20th. And I think it's a big, I've found out supposedly there is one in Melbourne. I still haven't seen one banner or flyer to advertise the one in Melbourne. But look, I'm seriously not interested in going to Melbourne or Canberra. I've been saying it since I came back from Canberra and started this after the federal election, that everything we should be doing is in our local community. The Saturday before, Craig Cole organised a march up in Mombog, which is where we did that letterbox drop probably 2 or 3 months ago about the smart cities. Now, that wasn't branded by any event. It wasn't an A1 event. It wasn't a My Place event. It was just an awareness for the town of Monbog. Now, we had probably, I put that out on all of my places. We all got up there. Craig spoke, I spoke, a local Monbog resident spoke. And we had the main street shut off for probably half an hour while we marched down the main street. We had probably 30 cops up there. They were really good. Awesome, in fact. We did some speeches, and one of the side streets was closed probably for another hour and a half. Now, after that, we had a gentleman that came to our My Place Yarra Valley meeting on the Thursday night. Now, they'd been booted, right? They've been kicked out of the RSL, which they've been meeting at for the last 8 months because the council's come to the RSL and said, you're not to allow the My Place meetings to take place in this venue anymore because this is a council-owned venue. Well, I've got some news for them as well because it's not a council-owned venue. It is owned by the people. So they've had to move, but this gentleman turned up at the meeting. At the end of the meeting, he wanted to have a word. He got up and he actually explained that he owned a coffee shop in the main street of Monbog. And for the last week, all the talk in the whole town, everyone's just talking about the smart city, about the rally and the march that went through their town the Saturday before. It's the talk of the town. He's part of a traders association, and there's a lot of traders starting to get on board. So I think those kind of targeted rallies, not protests, but rallies and information gatherings are way more beneficial to what we're trying to achieve than going into the city.
Sorry, mate, had a bit of a coughing fit. Still not completely sure I'm over it, so I thought I'd share everybody, or rather spare everybody, the worst of that. So I may not be over it yet. We'll see how it goes. No, that's what I've been reaching for, but the one I found is about 4 days old. But at any rate, it's all good. So the Rockhampton event, as far as I'm aware, is a similar kind of event to what you're doing in Melbourne.
Yep.
And John and I are really looking forward to getting up there to that. We're going up in style, actually. Pardon me.
Yeah, I actually heard a lady I spoke to today. She said she was sending a horse float down for you.
Oh, wrong one.
It's gone off again.
Yeah, we're heading up by private plane, so it'll be a light plane.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be a light plane, which I don't know if the old fisherman's up for it or not. But I love light planes, so he seems to be very excited about it. So we'll be fighting for the front seat by the sound of it.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds good. Look, I would any other time. I just can't afford to be doing that. I would be keen as if it wasn't the thing that we had down here and on Saturday, and also the stuff that I actually should be doing at the moment, working on my house. Then, if I had all of that under control, I'd be there in a flash.
Well, can only do what we can do, mate, and you do a hell of a lot anyway. So speaking of that, it is a Friday night. It is after knockoff, and you've probably got a whole bunch of people outside there somewhere waiting for you to say inspiring things. So I should let you shoot off. But look forward to talking to you more about My Place growth, and we're hopefully going to have one up in Nambour shortly. And I believe that there are 2 kicking around in Brisbane at the moment looking to get underway. We haven't been up to Noosa yet, so I see that Sunflower invited us up there. So maybe when you come up here, John and I might shoot up and check it out first, but we'll take you up to Noosa for a look too.
Yeah, Noosa's doing really well, and apparently there's 2 or 3 in Hinterland that are starting up shortly. We just got Mount Isa started, Gladstone, and also the first one in the Northern Territory. So we've basically
awesome.
got Darwin just started this week, and we're in every state and territory now.
So Aussie Sue, there you go. There's one in Mount Isa now, at My Place. Are you part of it? You probably are. You know everything. So if not, My Place Mount Isa on Facebook, that's the way to find them.
Yep, Mount Isa and Darwin, and look, I couldn't even rattle off all the other names at the moment. They're just popping up everywhere, and I can't even keep up with it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty busy. If you want to go and see how fast it's popping up, go and have a look at myplaceaustralia.org, and there's a map there that'll give you a bit of an idea of where they're popping up. But go back tomorrow; there'll be more. You know, I don't think your web people can add them fast enough, mate. It's excellent.
Oh, we actually got one at the top end of the Gold Coast too now at Coomera.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Because, well, to be honest, I think the Gold Coast would probably have 4 of them, easy. You know, spread from the Tweed all the way through to Coomera, Ormo. Absolutely. So plenty of.
Well, we got Tweed heads anyway. Tamworth's also on board now. So anyone that's down Tamworth way, yeah, jump on and join your local My Place Tamworth.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll come through and do a show down there. There were some ladies from Tamworth who went to My Place Singleton to just see how things were working there or set up there. And I think they went back with the intent of forming something in Tamworth. So get in touch. We'll come down to New England next time we come down. We'll pop into Tamworth and say good day. All right, mate. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too, Carl. Take care.
Yep. Have a great weekend. Say hi to Anna for me.
Will do, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. You too, folks. I'm going to go away and try and, take somebody's advice there. Vodka might be the best thing to try and get rid of this cough. I've got just something sticking in my throat. Just will not go away. Monday nights in Noosa, Sunflower. Is that what it is? You better email me and tell me who I need to talk to. I might be able to arrange the old bloke and I to come for a drive up there one night, and we'll see how that is. Oh, Malcolm's speaking in Gympie this weekend. Okay. Don't know that I've got enough fuel to get to Gympie and back, but that might be an interesting one to turn up to and ask a couple of questions. I have been sending Malcolm emails, but he hasn't been replying. I'm not really surprised, if I'm honest. Anyway, I have had. Well, let me show you. In the little blurb, you will have seen my bit saying, "Have you ever heard of something called a Stirling engine or a Stirling motor?" This is a very little, I'm trying to hold it where you can see it, a very little Stirling motor. You can see, that's my hand. I'll try to hold my cigarette behind it. Okay. This is filled with methylated spirits. This is a glass something. And inside there is a little metal piston that if I turn this wheel, you will see it turns up and down. If I turn it now and spin it now, I get maybe 1 or 2 strokes out of it, and that's the end of it. This ingenious little device, if you light it, you can see, I'm going to try and keep it in the shot the whole time. So what that flame is currently doing is heating the air inside that glass end. And when that air heats to the appropriate temperature, it, sort of expands. As you know, hot air expands. So it's going down the sides of the tube and down into this area here, which is a radiator, a cooling area. Now, I don't know if it's quite warm enough yet, but just watch the little bit of force I'm going to use to start this. And now watch it take off. Now, today, when I was playing with this out the back, there was a bit of wind. And if you didn't cup this correctly, the flame, it sped up, slowed down. Let me wipe my nose. Sped up, slowed down, and carried on. Now, I don't know if you can hear. I'll shut up. Can you hear the noise it makes? It makes next to no noise. I am staggered by this. The only noise is coming from this end of it, as near as I can figure. Now, a marvelous, marvelous little machine with the ability, with a little bit of heat, to heat oxygen, produce enough force to turn a wheel, which in turn could turn a gear or a belt or something else. Now, these used to be used to pump water. Think of this if you're a an off-gridder, right? And you want to get water from one place to another. A little bit of heat, this piston, this radiator arrangement, and that pulley, and away you go. Think if you don't need to use methylated spirits or create a fire, what if you could do this with solar? What if you could power this whole thing off solar? What if it was 10 or 20 times bigger than this? What would you be able to drive off it all day? This is enough power to pump water up a fairly steep grade hill for a great distance and fill header tanks. And yet, we don't use it today because once you've built it, it just works. It doesn't cost you anything. Bit of sunlight, bit of battery power, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's simple and it works. And it is very, very powerful. Now, this is only one design. There are multiple designs with varying numbers of pistons and obviously various amounts of strength that they can generate. But people much smarter than me know how to gear these sorts of things, so you can push, pull, or move just about anything with them. So I have to tell you, folks, I am beyond enamored with this machine. If you are an off-gridder, if you needed to pump water, if you needed to, well, do just about anything, this will turn a little generator, create light. Anything that you need to create power for, this can do it. And you just need to build them on a little bit bigger scale. Blown away by it. A Stirling motor. Now, the story is told to me today, and I have no reason to believe any different, that Henry Ford was going to use a Stirling motor, trying to show you, was going to use a Stirling motor in a car. He had built one that was 170 horsepower. 170 horsepower. Not bad back in the day. I mean, that's better than the T put together, I would have thought. But of course, with this kind of operation, what was he going to do with big petroleum, big oil? How is that going to impact the future? Because this is such a brilliant, easy, natural solution. I'm blown away by it. You may not feel the same as me. I've just blown the flame out, so you'll see that it is starting to slow down already. No more heated air. Shit, come back. There you go. No more heated air. And it comes to a halt. Absolutely amazing bit of kit. And look them up online. There's all sorts of packs I think you can buy if you're, a little bit mechanically inclined and want to put one together. You can do that. It's only small screws and good eyesight, I think, that you require. Anyway, I think that's probably about the best thing I've seen in 10 years that could actually be useful to people who are running off grid. If you can build something like that, you've got access to a creek somewhere low down and you want to get water pumped up to tanks or whatever higher up a hill. If you want to pump water into feed water troughs and all that sort of thing, this can be done fresh water with the sun every day with a little pump like that. Obviously you can get bigger ones or you can make bigger ones, but I am staggered, blown away by the ingenuity. Thank you very much, Kristen. Honey, lemon, water, all that good stuff, and scotch, which I'll go and find. I do have some. Unless John Wilson drank the last of it last time he was here, he might have done that. He does that, I wouldn't share it with him if I didn't want him to drink it, but there you go. I've frozen again, but I don't know how long ago that was. I'm sorry about that, Donnelly. I hope it's got better. All right. The larrikins. Oh, maybe the larrikins were trying to send me messages. Oh, yeah. Certainly somebody was sending me messages. Love your work. Sandy, I haven't read your message, but I will get to it. Sandy is a wonderful lady and gentleman, I should say. Sandy and Baz. It's bad for me not to remember Baz. And they have a particular fondness for donkeys. So if you have a particular fondness for donkeys, you can strike up a donkey conversation with those two and feel very comfortable that you're not going to get laughed at in any way, shape, or form. Okay, what am I doing here? Slice a lemon, place it in a glass jar, pour honey to cover the onion, let it sit in the cupboard for 12 hours, and then take a teaspoon of the syrup 3 times a day until the cough gets better. Alyssa. Screenshot. Thank you. I'll look after that. Sharon, the wonderful lady who lets me share her house, gave me something of a bit of a cure, and I think I need to go out and have a few more. I haven't had any today, but for the last couple of days, I've been having pickled cloves of garlic. And I know people who don't like garlic are going to go, oh my God. And other people are going to say, how did people come anywhere near you? Because I haven't had 1 or 2. I've had 6 in the morning. Like, that's my breakfast. Yes, it was a bit hard to get onto the first time it was put in my mouth. But afterwards, I was going to make a very bad joke. And you know what it was about. With persistence, I've found that the pickled garlic clove is not only nice, but extremely effective. You also need to brush your teeth at least twice to get rid of all the shit out of your teeth. Otherwise, you're going to be sucking it out for most of the day. And while people say, no, I can't smell your garlic breath, me thinks sometimes that's just them being polite. That could be the case. There is some abject stupidity going around at the moment, folks, as we all know, with our government taking great leaps of faith in their own powers and believing that the people are just going to let them get away with it. I think, folks, it's going to get to a point where we are going to confront some of this stupidity, and maybe it'll bring the last of those who are unawake over to our side of the line. It might take this, I have a feeling. I saw this today. The future of footies. Yep, they will come around and lock you up for booing when you go to the footy, because booing will offend somebody. Oh, you can't hurt my feelings. And that is what we are being reduced to, folks. Slowly but surely. Every little bit. Slowly but surely. So, eyes open. Don't let it happen. Death by 1,000 paper cuts is not for us, or death by 1,000 minute little control initiatives is definitely not for us. Eventually, the seesaw will tip our way. And, well, there's more and more evidence every day, I believe, of what's coming. Who's behind it, what's behind it, I don't know. But something is definitely coming. The financial industry is telling so many lies. The real estate industry is telling just as many lies. The banking industry, the finance industry are just full of lies. What's my advice? Gold, silver, and head into them there hills, folks. Get your food in order. Have a little bit of cash in hand, because I don't think it's far. I really don't think it's far. Sunflower. You missed the Paul Hogan show. So do I. You can see quite a few of the episodes of them on YouTube, I'm led to believe. And the thing that always struck me most about the Paul Hogan show was strop. And everybody, when I was growing up, used to think strop was the goose. Well, how wrong is that? John Cornell passed away, I want to say 12 months ago, or in the last couple of years anyway. He and Delvine Delaney lived down at Byron Bay for many years, owned a big pub in Byron, very successful pub in Byron. And, of course, half of the brains behind Crocodile Dundee, all the brains behind getting the money together to get it produced. And there are a lot of people on the Gold Coast who put in $1,000 here or $2,000 there. Some put $10,000 in, and they have well and truly reaped the rewards of their association with John Cornell and Paul Hogan. And many congratulations to them all. The ones I've met are all a fine, upstanding bunch of people who don't mind a beer on most occasions. There was also so many other great shows that you couldn't play today. Do you remember the oh god, here we go. All right, the Two Ronnies was one of my favorites. All right, I never liked the short one, but Ronnie Barker, always a big fan. I didn't mind Ronnie Corbett. I just didn't like him sitting on that chair telling stories. It was just the longest story for the worst bloody joke. It was horrendous. I think he's gone now too. Ronnie Barker, of course, died years ago. Porridge was one of his big ones, and Open All Hours was another favourite of mine. Absolute comic genius, that man. And I had the great pleasure of meeting him once when he came out to Australia. It must have been in the late 80s or maybe the early 90s, but late 80s, I want to say, or maybe mid 80s. And you know what they say about never meeting your idol? It was one of those sort of moments. He very quiet man, didn't want to really talk much, didn't really do interviews about himself. If you wanted to give him a character, he'd do that. But yeah, it was an interesting interview. But yeah, he was great. Dave Allen, another wonderful Irish comic who came to Australia to make it big, and the ABC gave him a series here, which made him a star. They sold that series to the BBC, and then he went back to the UK and became an even bigger star. Parkinson was along the same lines. He came out here, did a lot of shows. He was already fairly big, I think, in the UK too. So what else was there? There was, oh God, there were quite a few back in the day. I used to be able to rattle them all off, but there you go. Now, with age comes a withering dizziness. Maybe that's the best way to put it. I'm just trying to have a bit of a scan through here and see what other advice there is. Thank you, Neville. Cut an onion in half, plate next to your bed, and turn black overnight. Also vitamin C, D, and zinc. Yeah, I haven't got any zinc. I do have vitamin C and D. Must see what I can find out about zinc. Let me see what else here. We can't have these golden oldies because of the woke crap. Yeah, you're 100% right. And some of the stuff that we've lost, including this sort of technology. I mean, okay, I can understand why this is all pretty heavy stuff. I mean, this is brass. This is a heavy base. That's a little fire pit. I mean, you got to build this stuff. It needs a certain amount of weight to it as well. If you're going to build it, obviously in scale, and you want it to do stuff. Pardon me. It's probably quite expensive, but in this day and age to build. But so's a bloody power station. So, and they're knocking those bastards down so they can float a balloon and grow a wind farm. And aren't they some of the friggin' ugliest things you've ever seen in the world? I have seen a few of them across the country as we've travelled around. The most recent ones I've found are on the Atherton tablelands. Just scar the bloody landscape. A beautiful range dotted with these friggin' awful things. But apparently they supply enough power to look after about half of Atherton on a cold day. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Might be a bit more than that. But, you know, I'd prefer to be up in those hills looking for gold. And I think there is hills. No, I think there is gold in those hills. The Hodgkinsons or something like that fields are down that way. So, yeah, go out, look for the gold, stay away from the big fans. They'll give you a headache. Just have a bit of a glance, see if there's anything else there. Some of the shows we're mentioning are taking you back. Yeah, well, somebody posted a picture up the other day. I don't have it with me, unfortunately, otherwise I would show it to you. It was a picture of a red cab-over truck with a big sleeper cab on it. And the only thing written underneath it was, "I used to be TV famous." Do you remember BJ and the Bear? There's one. It was a tribute to the BJ and the Bears truck. Dad's Army, another one of my favourite shows of all time. The Dick Emery Show. Now he's right up there with Benny Hill. I mean, what would you do with Dick Emery today? A gay drag dressing comedian who my memory of him was being extremely funny. I may not have always got the drag gags, but my recollection of him, what was his catchphrase? Oh, you are awful, but I like you. I think that was his catchphrase. It was either that or it was that horrible pervert that King Charles used to be friends with, Jimmy Savile. Probably worked both ways. Who knows? Duckman. Yeah, another one. We can go to the Kenny Everett video show. That's probably a little more 80s. Of course, for radio fans, I grew up playing Kremen of the Star Corps on the radio as the radio series, if you like, or the comedy bit. There was Kremen of the Star Corps. There was Chicken Man. Chicken Man. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. Oh, God. Now you're giving me some horrifying memories. Yeah. One of the old things about radio, I don't know, particularly our younger people won't know much about. There used to be 3 speeds for records, if you like, back in the day, bits of black vinyl that would spin. You'd have your 45, which was a littler one. You'd have your 33, which was a bit bigger one. Then you'd have 78, which is about the same speed and a bit thicker. 78 was an older style, span a bit faster. And then there were these things called inside-out playing records, which were nearly a meter across, and they were serialized. That's how radio stations in the old days used to get, things like the Dad and Dave serial. It would come on a big vinyl record. And when I say big, I mean bloody big. At my first radio station, I had to play a Dad and Dave episode off one of those one day. So I'd queued the whole thing up and, found the right track, or I thought was the right track, which was the first track. Queued it all up, made the needle perfect, great, hit the play button, and the needle spun off and fell off the record completely. Like got thrown off the record. That was because back in the old days, for serialized stuff, to be complete bastards, they would start the track on the center of track 1 was at the center of the album, and it would play out to the edge, not from the outside in, like most records you come across today. So trap for young players, if you ever come across one of those, you got to play them from the inside out, not the outside in, and they're probably best played on a bloody gramophone with a very long arm. That was the other thing. They required their own record player to play them because the arm that held the needle was probably half a meter long, just so it could reach to the center and then play out. So that's probably part of the reason why radio didn't adopt them much past the 50s, I don't think, because we were getting smaller records and smaller record players. So anyway, it's all gone now. It's all done on computer. Isn't it always the way? Including cars, God love them. They're doing so much with those today. I had a small issue with my car, and it wasn't really an issue with the car. It was just an issue with the bloody computer. Unfortunately, fortunately, it wasn't a bad issue. And very fortunately, there was a bloke who had another computer that talked to my computer, and they had a great conversation together. And with the application of a push on his computer, my computer seemed to be happy again. And off we went. Weren't interrupted by a dickhead on the road at all. Have a good weekend.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!
Point it that way. That's big news. You and I got to talk about that. I don't suppose he's still alive. Stupid question. That's exciting. I'll go now. Have a nice night.